So Apple just announced a new technology that they're going to use to try to prevent child pornography from being distributed on their devices. Of course, this is a huge issue and we're all happy for Apple trying to take a step to prevent it. But some privacy and cybersecurity experts are a little bit skeptical about the kind of technology that they used. So I decided to try to make a video to explain what Apple is trying to do in the simplest language possible so that everybody can understand it and develop your own thinking about these issues. So there is an organization called the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that has a database of known images of sexually abused children. What Apple wants to do at a high level is try to see whether people on their devices have pictures that are contained also in the database of this association. The problem is, of course, how do you do this while preserving the privacy of users? Because if somebody is, of course, a child molester, then this person needs to be prosecuted, needs to be stopped. But Apple also will have to analyze the images of everybody else. So also private citizens, they have never done anything like this, and they're absolutely clean and pristine, and they should not have their privacy violated. So Apple tried to develop a technology that allows them to check for child pornography the gallery of somebody without knowing the content of these images. Because if you think about it, Apple doesn't need to know if in your gallery you have pictures of the birthday of your daughter. They just need to know whether you have these child pornography images. The technology that they developed is based on something called neural hash. This is how it works. Apple developed some AI algorithms that are able to analyze all your images and transform them into a simple list of numbers, a hash. This is how it's called in technical terms. If you have two images that are very similar because they have the same content inside, they will have the same hash. Two images that are completely different will have completely different hashes. Why do you need to use AI to do this? Well, because these AI algorithms are capable to kind of understand what's in the image. This means that if you have somebody who takes a bunch of child pornography images and modifies them a little bit, let's say they rescales them or changes the resolution, or maybe modifies them a little bit, adding some new shapes or some text or something like this, these AI algorithms will still be able to recognize that the content is basically the same and it will produce the same hash. So this is what Apple wants to do. It wants to analyze all your images on your device, so without sending these images to the cloud, everything will happen on your iPhone, analyze all the images, turn them into hashes, and simply notify Apple whether one of these hashes is included in the database of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. In this way, if there is no match, so if none of your pictures contain child pornography, then your privacy will be respected and nobody will know anything about this. The principle, it's great, but there are some issues. First of all, what happens if there's a mistake? What happens if an image of, let's say, a dog that I have on my phone as a mistake gets labeled as child porn? Well, then Apple found out a way to take these images, compress them a lot, and then send them to the cloud, and there's somebody at Apple that will have to look at these images and actually say whether these images seem to be child pornography or not, or whether that's a false positive. And so that's kind of a solution. Apple also quantified that these cases will happen once in a trillion cases, which is, I would say pretty little. So maybe we don't have to worry about this. So then what do we have to worry about? Couple of problems. One is that there's a known problem in AI called adversarial attacks, which means that you can take two images, completely different, and you can modify a little bit one in a way that humans don't even realize. But then the AI algorithms will recognize as exactly the same as another picture. You're basically trying to fool AI algorithms into thinking that two pictures are the same when they are not. And this is kind of a big problem. Imagine that I'm a politician and I want my opponent to be out of its campaign. What I could do is take a bunch of images, modify them so that they have the same hash of a child pornography image, and send them to him via WhatsApp or whatever. And if this politician saves it, then its iPhone will mistakenly categorize these images as child porn, even though they're not. And what happens then? This person gets reported to the authorities and potentially its image gets ruined. But there's also another problem. which is that Apple is creating a precedent, which means that Apple is creating some technology that will enable governments or whoever has the right to do so to search for one specific image or a set of images within everyone's iPhones. When this is used to prevent child pornography, everybody is happy. But imagine what happens if somebody in a government, let's say, wants to try to prosecute all the people that were at a specific event. They may take a bunch of pictures taken in a public square, send them to Apple and say, tell me all the people that took pictures here. Apple is starting to create a technology that can enable governments or malicious actors to do this kind of stuff. And so, once you open a door, it's kind of hard to close it. So we really need to think whether this is the way that we want this technology to be approached. I'll tell you what I think about this. It's a very interesting problem from almost a philosophical perspective, because we all agree that every technology that helps us safeguard children, it's good. But what's the cost? That's the question. How much are we able to potentially threaten our privacy to build something that is potentially helping someone else? It's always a tough balance, because at some point, if you want to build these technologies, you're going to have to look into people's pictures, basically, right? And so the way that you do it, the technology that you use, it's going to define a lot what kind of outcome you're going to get in terms of efficacy of your solution, but also in terms of privacy. I'm very excited to see how this is going to end, because again, it's probably going to define a lot the conversations that we're going to have in the futures about privacy. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this. I'm going to post some useful links in the description of the video. Bye.